ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. In part 2 of this 2-part interview, we'll talk with Angie and Jason Vandergrift about rule changes they'd like to see, interesting things they've seen happen on a hunt, the person they most like to beat in competition, and a whole lot more. Help me welcome back Angie and Jason Vandergrift. Well, here's one I want to ask you both, this next question. And normally I don't ask you to give your secrets away, but maybe you can just tell us some of your secrets. But what's the secret to your success? Why have you guys both been this successful?
Sam, when I get a dog that I like, it never sees another dog. It's soloed. Mm-hmm. And you can ask my wife. It's sometimes like I'll turn loose right here at the house at 7 o'clock. Sometimes it'll be 11 o'clock before I get home, 11:30. She's like, how can you do this 6 days a week? Because I was like, I want to win. That's the whole key to my success, is making that dog do it on its own. It's got to learn to go hunt on its own. It's got to jump a rabbit on its own. It's got to work its check area on its own. That is my personal success, is solo time on a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Sam, I think the secret to my success is the mentors that I've had throughout the years, the breeders that have trusted me enough to put their dogs in my hands, and lots of time on the bench. Mm-hmm. It is showing a dog and getting a dog to stand on a bench with your hands off of them is not easy, and it takes a lot of time, effort, patience, but you've got to put the time into a hound if you want it to be a good one.
That's the thing. I had an old coon hunter tell me years ago that the hunts and shows aren't one on the weekend, they're one during the week.
They're one during the week.
They're one during the week.
100% correct.
With all that preparation and time that you put in.
A lot of cold suppers in the evenings.
Yeah.
Or no supper at all.
Or no supper at all. Well, what advice would you give to folks that are just starting out? And this could be not necessarily younger folks. I didn't get started in beagles till maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago. But what kind of advice would you give to newcomers to the sport?
So from my perspective, I think be a good sportsman, be honest, let the dog win or lose, and spend the time with the dog that the dog needs to be competitive. Mm-hmm. I think the worst thing that you can do for a dog is not spend the time and then put them out in a hunt and expect them to do well. But, the biggest thing for me is be a decent human being. We're all out there to have fun and enjoy the hounds, and we need to be able to do that. So the more we can give that advice to our youth that's coming up through the hunt and teach them the right way to do things, the better off this sport's going to be in the long run.
And Sam, for me, like when I go to a hunt and say I draw a new guy, an older gentleman, mid-aged gentleman, or a kid, I like to explain everything that's going on, between the strikes, when we're running, when we score a line, mm-hmm. where we're going to score the line at, and after a while, if I draw this guy again, I'm like, okay, this is why we're doing this. This is why this happened. This is why this scenario happened. And, 2 or 3 times, maybe drawing this guy, when we draw out, they make me the judge or whatever, and I'm like, listen, I'm going to put the card in your hand today, and, I said, these cast members we have, they've done it long enough. We're going to put the card in your hand. You're going to learn this, and it freaks them out to begin with. But my biggest thing is giving a card to a new guy or the youth, mm-hmm. and teaching the youth the rules. And, I've got a kid here in West Virginia that he's scared to death of Judge. Where every time I draw him, he's getting the card. I said, man, you gotta, you know, you gotta step up. I said, he's like, well, I don't want to make nobody mad. Well, I said, you're not gonna make nobody mad in this cast. But to me, youth and new people coming on, I love to explain the rules to them of everything that's going on in the cast. After, we finish a track, I go over everything that happened and, the scenario, if we scored a line or if a dog picked up a check of, just different things in the cast. I like to explain to the new guys, what's more going on. Because if I draw a guy that's been in it for 10 years, and all of us been in it for 10 years, we don't discuss what goes on. We all know what's going on. But the new guys, they got to learn this, and I like to explain everything to the new youth and the new guys coming in to make it fair for them. They don't feel like they're like nobody's talking to them. They're not learning nothing. Well, they got to learn. They got to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, one thing's for sure, and that is things will change. And even the little bit of time that I've spent, I'm not a big-time competitor by no means, but just things I've noticed over the year. When I first started hunting, we hunted for, 2 hours, then it went to maybe an hour and a half, and then now we hunt for an hour. And the rules change. The rules committees come out every however many years and change things, modify things, add things, subtract things. Again, both of you guys have been doing this a long time, and you've competed all over. If you could change or modify or eliminate any of the current rules, would you? And what would they be?
Do you want to go or you want me to go? Because I know what my two are.
I'll go first. So mine would be that you don't have to hunt to show. And the reason I say that, it's not that you don't have to have a good hound. Your hound should have good conformation. But, there are women and children out there that don't feel comfortable going out in the cast with a bunch of guys, or they're getting older like me and they can't run like they used to. And as a woman in this sport, I don't ever want to be out in a cast and have to have someone go after my dog. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to do that myself. And I find the older that I get, the harder it gets to do so. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that I've lost my want to do it, but I love the show, and I want to be able to do that show even as I age. And I'm finding it harder and harder to do sometimes because I don't hunt as much as I used to. Mm-hmm. And I rely on Jason to hunt my dogs so that I can show, but he has his own dogs to concentrate on, right? So the one rule for me would be that you don't have to hunt to show. And I don't know that would be a popular answer across, the hunting community, but it's mine.
Mm-hmm. All right. And for me, Sam, I got two. The first one, I'll completely do away with a check in UKC. I hate a check. That just sometimes it's a dog that just swings out the widest that picks a track up. But it is what it is. That's the UKC rule. We go by it. We reward a dog or recover, and we go on. My second one would be we should be able to run track and train collars on these dogs. I know of at least 3 dogs that would still be alive in a UKC hunt right now if they could have just toned the dog and got them away from a hardtop road.
Mm-hmm. Jason, I think that's a big one. I know that's been up for discussion at least a couple of times, I think, and hopefully that'll be up for discussion again the next time the rules committees meet. And I'm not sure. I know they don't.
It is. It's up for this October.
So this year, very good.
Yes.
And I know that's one that brings a lot of spirit to the debate. There's people on both sides that feel very strongly one way or the other. I'm in your camp. I think we ought to run them. I think when we go to these hunts, we're supposed to mimic what you would have in an actual hunt when you're out gun hunting. When I gun hunt my dogs, I've got that on there and available to me.
Same, not to interrupt you, but if you're out pleasure hunting in the evening, what do you run on your dog? You run a TT 15.
You got it. Absolutely. Yep. And if my dog gets in trouble, he gets somewhere he shouldn't be for whatever reason, I
They
can
hear
tone
that
him.
beep beep.
Yep. And he's going to come straight back to me. So I don't know how hard you would have to train a dog to try to cheat with one of these. Mine would ruin, because mine would come back to my feet and think it was in trouble. And
Yep,
so I'd end
you're
up eating minus
100%.
points. So maybe there's some master trainer out there that could figure out a way to cheat with this. But I think that's a short
If that guy figures
list.
it out, I would love to know his theory of behind it. I just, like I said, and it would also, Sam, cut down, like you said. We used to go from 2-hour hunts to 90 minutes. Some still are 90 minutes throughout the year. When our, in the fall of the year, we'll still run 90-minute casts. Right now, you're running hour casts because it's hot. If you get a little bit of one or two dogs just a little hard-headed in a cast, 15, 20 minutes, 25 to catch the dog, a beep, beep, you catch that dog and you save a lot of your hunting time.
Yes, I agree. That happens, especially down here in the South. It can get pretty rough temperature-wise in a hurry, and anything to speed that up, I'm pro that. But I think if nothing else, if you forget everything else, the safety aspect of it alone is what would make me vote for that change. I'm with you, and I think a lot of other people will be with you on that too. And I think that'll change eventually. I don't know when, but I think it's going to change. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right, so this one's for both of you. What do you love the most about competing with beagles? I mean, if somebody just asks you, why in the world do you do this? How do you answer that?
For me, it's the friends that we've made across the United States, and they're lifetime friends, and doesn't matter where you are, which hunt you're at, you run into somebody that you met years ago or that you're still friends with today. I think the friends that we've made hunting beagles are some of the best friends that we've ever had. And I think the second thing for me that I love the most about competing is really taking a youth under your wing. And, I've let several of the youth throughout the years show my dogs and teach them how to show and get them excited about it. And, it's the most rewarding thing when you see them up there and they're doing exactly what you taught them to do, and they're winning. And if they're not winning, they're loving every minute of it. So I think those are the two things for me.
And for me, Angie kind of nailed the first one. It's, like you said, we've been doing it for, a few decades now. And we have friends that we've met 30 years ago that are still some of our best friends, today that might live in Missouri, or Indiana. And we still keep in touch with them, still see them once or twice a year and still talk to them, throughout the year, on Facebook or whatever. But that the competitors in this are some of the best people, that I think, you're ever going to meet. And like you said, there's just a bond, but I think in the beagle side of it is once you become friends or run with somebody, the new stage this day is they send you a friend request on Facebook, and then boom, you guys talk and this and that, and that would probably be my number one of just people you meet throughout the years that you become friends with and stay friends with. And
I think it's a great way to kind of have a social circle there too. Everybody wants to win. I know you guys go here and you want to win. Nobody wants to lose, but I think it's very common for people to answer the way that you did, which was it's all about the people, the friendships that you make over the years. So that's good. I'm very happy to hear that. All right, this one is going to be interesting, I think, because I think you two may answer this differently. If you could design the perfect hound for you, what would they look like? What would they sound like? What would they hunt or show like?
So for me, I've stated this before, they have to hunt to be on the Vandergrift residence. But for me, I like a dog with a big head, blocky, real stout, big bones, great conformation, and great disposition. I would say Mayhem, when you look at him, is the epitome of the type of dog that I like and that I go for when it comes to a hound. So he's just an all around great dog, conformation and hunt. So for me, that's the perfect hound. I'll let Jason answer what he thinks.
14 3/4 tricolor females, baby, all day long. All day long. Yeah, all day. Yeah. Yeah, and like Angie said, I want my females to be big bone, nice heads on them, and just kind of like superstars built. She's the total dog for me.
You know, Sam, the funny thing is, Jason likes a dog that'll come to him when he's hunting, but he doesn't have very many of those. They all like to stay out there a little bit.
And I'm okay with that because I know what they're doing.
That's right. I should have maybe asked this question a little bit earlier when we were talking about all the preparation you guys put into these hounds. But how much time do you spend in an average week hunting or working with these dogs to get them ready?
So for me, it depends on whether they're a puppy just starting out or I've already spent some time with them. So I'll answer this two ways. When they're a puppy just starting out, the minute they hit the ground and can stand up on their own and run and play, I'm starting to set them up on the ground and work with them and spend as much time with them as I can. When they're puppies, it's a month. It's every day of the week, putting them up on the bench, getting them comfortable, trying to get them just to stand there and hold still. That's in the beginning. And then once I have a dog ready for a show, I would say at least 2 hours a night for at least 3 weeks before a big show. I've got my hands on that dog. That dog's on the bench. The dog's standing there as long as they possibly can.
And treats.
Lots of treats. Yeah, we lots of treats. And, it's all about the discipline on the bench. And when I tell you not to move, that's exactly what I mean. And you're going to stand there until you do it. So it takes hours upon hours for the show. It's not easy.
Sometimes, Sam, I feel bad for her dogs. Because like I said, when she's ready to get one ready for a show, she can be a little rough on one, but they look good at the end.
That's right.
Takes a lot of time, a lot of muscle.
Well, Jason, how about you? How much time do you spend in any given week?
Sam, it's Monday through Sunday, and the only day I don't run is usually on a Wednesday. And it's usually guaranteed I'm an hour and a half Monday through Sunday, like I said, except for Wednesdays. An hour and a half to 3 hours every time I drop a dog.
See, this is the stuff that people don't see. They just see that you smiling up there with your trophy or your plaque or a bag of dog food that you won, and but they don't see all the work you put in behind it. Yeah, it's a lot of dedication, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for sure.
I don't know how many nights my wife goes, "Are you running tonight?" And I'm like, "Yep."
Yep. Well, I think all too often in this world we're negative when we could go positive. And
you're 100%.
It's easy to talk about the bad things that have happened to you during your competition career. That one you should have won, but you had a judge that pencil whipped you or went blind and didn't see what you saw or whatever. I don't really want to get into that. I want to flip it a little bit and ask you, over your years of competing in these hunts and in these bench shows, what's something that someone did that was super nice to you or for you? Or maybe if no one's ever done anything nice for you, which I find hard to believe, maybe you saw them be nice to somebody else.
So, Sam, for me, I have two answers for this. The first answer is I can't thank Dale Perney enough for taking me under his wing and showing me the ropes. he really, he taught me the rules. He taught me how to show. He taught me how to train a dog. But, I think more than anything, he taught me a lot of life lessons along the way. And our talks and the time that we spent together and all the coffee that we drank together means the world to me. And I can't thank him enough, and wish he was still here with us for sure. Second thing I think for me is Jason went to a hunt in Ohio years ago, and he calls on the way home, and he said, "Hey, I got something for you that I'm bringing home." And I said, "You do?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll let you know what it is when I pull in the driveway." I said, "All right." And so he pulls into the driveway, and he's unloading the dogs like he always does, and out steps this dog, this puppy, that my jaw literally dropped to the ground, and I was like, who in the heck is that? And it was mayhem. And Audie Burke was at the hunt with Jason, and Audie had been after me about this litter of pups and wanted me to take a pup. And at the time that he called me, Devin, our son, was in travel baseball, quarterbacking. He was the quarterback of the football team. He was in high school. It was the last 4 years. And I didn't have the time to put in to a dog. And I kept telling Audie, I can't. Mm-hmm. I just can't do it. And so we got Devin graduated, and Jason pulls in the driveway with one of the pups out of the litter. And it was mayhem. And he said to Jason, my health isn't the best anymore, and I can't put the time in the dogs that I want to. And I have Mayhem's litter made already. You take this dog to Angie. I want her to have it.
Wow.
And there were no questions to Angie about whether or not she wanted to get back into this stuff.
She was in.
What she wanted to do, but I was shocked. I was blessed and so thankful. And, Mayhem has turned into be the favorite dog I've ever owned. Oh. And he's my buddy, and, I'll have him forever. For as long as he's alive, he'll be here. And, we still just take him to the hunt sometimes, even if we're not hunting him. So he goes along for the ride if I'm not showing or whatever. But very touched that he thought enough about me to do that. So that's my answer.
And for me, Sam, like Angie said, when we had about 4 years there that the boy was we was in Florida, we go to Georgia, North Carolina with travel baseball. And so I kind of got out of the dogs, got rid of everything except my White River Isabella female. I kept her because I wanted the dog to gun hunt, because the boy loved to gun hunt, rabbits. So when he, like you said, he graduated, and I went to our state hunt. I told Angie on a Saturday morning, I said, I'm going to go to our state hunt this morning. So I go down, and I knew nobody. I knew nobody. So I go out and I watch the final 4 registered dogs run, and I come back home, and she's like, what'd you think? And I was like, well, I said, I didn't know nobody no more. I said, it's been 4 years. So at this time, I'm hearing that Mitch Gould's kind of getting back into it. He's breeding some dogs. And I was like, well, heck, I was like, I'm going to give Mitch a call. So I called Mitch, and me and him sat there and talked for an hour that evening. And I said, well, I'm sure you know why I'm calling you. And he's like, well, what are you calling me for? I was like, well, I heard you're getting back into some Beagles. And he kind of chuckled. He's like, yeah. He said, I bought Princess back. And he said, I've got a litter of pups here. I said, well, Mitch, I said, I'd like to jump on board with the team heat. I said, I'd like to get back into it. Probably 3 weeks go by. He calls me, brings me a dog down, and I still have this dog. I won the junior nationals with her. Her name's Heat 'em Up Black Widow, but I call her Natty. And I was like, man, I said, Mitch could have told me to go hop attack, but me and Mitch have been buddies for years, and he gave me that dog, and then I got another one off of him that, some dogs don't always pan out, and I told him, I said, she's not what I want, and Mitch is like, never had a problem. He's like, let's get rid of her. But my second one would be, and I'm going to name the kid's names, the little Emmett Whipke kid, and I taught him the rules. I was drawing this kid every weekend, and his dad was driving him to the hunts and back, and forth. And it got to the point his dad's like, just ride with us, Jason. You know how to drive. So, and his name was Charlie, the dad. And we was going out, and I was explaining the rules to Emmett, and making Emmett judge. And then he got to the point he was judging this, and then he was beating me here and there. Oh. And one weekend, his dad come up to me, and it was the greatest feeling ever. His dad goes, "You're the greatest mentor." He said, "My boy looks up to you." He's like, because you guys make it competitive and fun. Because if I would judge him, sometimes I'd win. And if he'd judge me, sometimes he would beat me. And he's like, you two make it fun in the cast where I enjoy going out there being a spectator. He said, I look up to you the way, what you're doing to these kids, the way you train my son and how taught him how to judge. And that made me feel great right there.
Mm-hmm. That's a very big compliment. I love that story. And he's doing a lot of winning. I see his name all over the place here recently.
The little Emmett boy, he's got a couple nice hounds and then he's got a show dog he's traveling with now, and he's winning throughout the circuit. Believe me, I think I taught him too well.
Maybe rethink that for the next kid a little bit, Jason. Yeah. Hold back a little.
I would turn the next one the same way, man. I'd love to see the youth win, and like I said, I'm an old man now, and I like to see these kids winning.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, I have just a few more questions for you, and appreciate your patience working through. I just had so many for y'all. I really did. But could you share maybe a funny story or tell us about something out of the ordinary or crazy that's happened while you've been out at one of these events?
Go ahead, Jason.
Man.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I don't know. I've had a bunch of them.
So I have a couple. And both of these stories were when Jason and I were pleasure hunting. This didn't even happen in a cast. Mm-hmm. So it was a couple days before Nationals one year. And we were out in this field that we always hunt in. And while we were out in the field, this field was full of cattle. And there was one bull out there that was just meaner than a snake. And if you weren't careful, he would eye you and he would start chasing you. And it was, you just had to watch out for him, right? So we're getting the dogs ready to go to Nationals, and we're out there pleasure hunting. And all of a sudden, this bull takes off chasing us. Not the dogs, us. And so we take off running through the field trying to get away from him. And Angie steps in a cow hole of some kind and completely tore every ligament out of my ankle that I had, I think.
Oh, no.
My ankle's like 3 times the size that it should be before we ever get out of the field. Needless to say, I went to the Nationals and couldn't hunt too much, but the guys at the hunt were trying to find me a golf cart so I could get out in the field and hunt. But it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time, but it was pretty funny then. And then my second story, I think, we had a lot of fun pleasure hunting when we were growing up. And Jason touched on the fact that we would get home and I'd call Dale. But we were out in the field one day, and we had the scorecard, and I had the scorecard in my hand, and Jason was trying to cheat me like you wouldn't even know. And, I mean, he was cheating hard. And he had me so firing mad, I picked up the phone, and I called Dale, and I told...
Right in the middle of the field.
Right in the middle of the field, and I told Dale Prenny he needed to get his butt over to the field where we were hunting, because we had some things to straighten out. and I had a cheater on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dale Prinny came over.
Dale said, "I'll judge this cast."
And he said, "I'll judge this cast." Needless to say, Angie won the cast.
Of course.
Cheater did not win.
And I tell you what, I'm going to give you one. I got several, Sam, but here's probably one of the best ones. I'm not going to say no names, but it was one of my best friends from Ohio, and we was out and we was just trash talking, who was going to win, this and that. Well, four of my buddies, we draw each other, and we're trash talking who's going to win. You got the first 3 minutes of the hunt, you don't got to strike your dog. My dog hit, I put it on a card, the next dog hit, next dog hit. About 4 minutes into the hunt, we're all scratched for a fox chase, and we just thought that was the greatest thing ever. Best cast we'd ever had,
That's a good one.
Yeah. I said, boys, 4 minutes into a cast, I believe that's the quickest I've ever been scratched on anything.
That is impressive. That really is. That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of my major league, minor league question that I ask sometimes, and it goes something like this. If you're going to play in the major leagues, you always have a minor league to help support that major league. And what I mean by that is you're always developing that young talent to get them ready for the big show. So what do you guys have that are your up-and-comers, or do you have an up-and-comer that we should be listening out for their name in the future?
So for me, I don't have an up-and-comer yet, but you can bet it'll be a pup out of Mayhem when I do.
And for me, Sam, yes, I do have an up-and-comer. I ran her at Junior Nationals last year. She was 6.5 months old. She went 1-1. Made the top 16 in the juniors. It got beat in the first round, but she'll also be able to run juniors this year. But her name is Heat 'em Up Poison Ivy, and she's my up and coming dog. And then Heat 'em Up Superstar has a litter of puppies right now that this coming Thursday that will be 8 weeks old, and I kept a pretty nice little female out of that I finally named her this week. That I'm going to name her Heat 'em Up Stars and Stripes. She's got 2 little stripes coming up both hind legs, and I said that's a unique name. Hopefully she's my next prospect besides Ivy.
Excellent. We'll be listening out for her name for sure. As you are out there competing, is there someone that you like to beat just a little bit more than everybody else?
Yeah, Vandergrift.
Each other.
and saying she's not lying. Anytime she can beat me, if we're just here at the house running, she thinks that's the greatest thing in the world. Especially if Mayhem, the supposedly show dog that everybody's like it's a show dog. Well, he'll put it on you. Don't get me wrong, the dog will put it on you. But for me, it would probably be Owen Dogestein. He's probably one of my best buddies. That when me and him draw each other, we go to the hunts together. We stay in a camper together with our other buddy Jason McMillan. We all stay in the campers together. But when I draw Owen, I want to beat him just as bad as he wants to beat me, and I love beating him because then I just rag it into him, But and he does the same thing. But that's 2 dominant people, that's been in it for a long time. Owen's been in it for a while as well. That both running pretty fair hounds, and I want to beat him just as bad as he wants to beat me. But that's probably my guy that I enjoy running with the most. In a cast that, and believe me, we talk some trash. We will talk some trash out there that can't really say on the phone. But
and Sam, I tell you, I love it every minute when one of my show dogs beat one of his hunting hounds. And when he takes my show dog out and he comes back in and says, Mayhem whipped our butts. I love it.
Well, guys, I've really enjoyed this. This has been a super interview, and I really appreciate it. I just want to kind of wrap up with this question. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that I should have, or do you have anything else you want to cover or promote?
For me, it'd just be the NHBA. I'd promote them 100%. You know, that's the whole backbone of why we travel with the series that they have. I mean, they're just a great organization, man. Not only for the adults, the prize packages, and what they do for the youth, man, it's unreal, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Sam, I think, and you've heard Jason and I both say it throughout, this entire interview, but for me, it's we've got to keep promoting our youth. I think between NHBA and UKC, they're doing a really good job of that. But guys and gals, when you're out there, be a mentor, show those youth the way they should act, and take them under their wing. Jason and I were young when we started out, and if it wasn't for people taking us under our wing, we would not be where we are today. We would not have won like we have, and we sure as heck wouldn't have had the camaraderie and the friendships that we've built throughout the years. So those youth are going to keep this sport alive for us, and we got to keep it going.
And we've been fortunate with great dogs and our success for sure.
Angie and Jason, thank you so much again for your time. It's been a terrific interview. I know people are really going to enjoy it. And I wish you the best in the future with these young hounds that you have coming up.
Well, I appreciate it, Sam. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sam. We appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough. And remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when we have new content available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.